Hello everybody and welcome back to OMB Reviews. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today we'll be doing a box office preview for this upcoming weekend, which sees the release of Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Ambulance, and the wider release of Everything Everywhere All at Once. We'll talk about those three films as well as their projected budgets and therefore their projected break-even points, as well as some of the other films, including Morbius' second weekend, as it is set to have a massive drop-off here domestically, and what that actually means for the prospects of it getting to its break-even point. So before going any further, though, please make sure you smash that like button, light up that fire button if you're watching over on Odyssey, and also make sure that you are subscribed to the channel with that bell notification turned on. That way you know every time a new video or live stream goes live on the channel. So, of course, the big news of this weekend is Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I know a lot of people are excited for Sonic 2. I'm not really one of them. I supported the first film because Jeff Fowler listened to the fans and delayed the release of his film in order to fix the terrible design of the original Sonic character that they had originally had planned, and kudos to him for that. And I supported him for that very reason, and that's why I went to go see that film and support him in that way. But the movie itself really wasn't my cup of tea, and one of my bigger issues was not just with Jim Carrey and his portrayal of Dr. Robotnik, but it was also mostly just the voice work that was being done for Sonic. I think I've just been so spoiled, and I think I mentioned this even in my review, we've been so spoiled with Ryan Reynolds' voice work that to me it just feels like if Ryan Reynolds is not doing the voice work for a main CGI character like this, it just doesn't seem right. And I don't think the guy who's doing the voice for Sonic the Hedgehog, the comedian doing the voice for his work, really has as much of a grasp on the ability to do any type of River. I know. I can't do anything with them. But anyway, no, I think that at the end of the day, when it comes to these two, or rather specifically between these two actors, I think Jim Carrey knows how to improv versus the actor that plays Sonic, the actual character of Sonic in the film. I just don't think he has a firm grasp on improv as much, because it's just the comedy in the films is really much more geared towards kids, and it's not really one of those films where it can transcend that, right? There are some films that are geared towards kids that also have that humor that kind of transcends and goes above the heads of kids, where like the adults can say, oh, I can enjoy this movie too, and then years down the line when you grow older, you're like, oh, I never even got that before, right? And I feel like, when it comes to Ryan Reynolds, he's able to kind of figure that out, whereas this actor is not. But Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is expected to make $65 million in its opening weekend, so set to have a pretty strong opening there, opening at over 4,000 screens. We also have the next film from Michael Bay, directed by Michael Bay, Ambulance, which is set to come out with $11.4 million at over 3,400 screens. What is interesting to note here, and I mentioned this in a video earlier this week, is that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is not going to get an IMAX release where Ambulance is. And I imagine that this probably has some contractual obligation between either Universal and IMAX, or between Michael Bay and IMAX, as he, of course, is a major producer on the film. And so therefore they got exclusivity for IMAX for the film. And, whether or not that's a good choice or not for IMAX remains to be seen. I think that at the end of the day, you look at these numbers, 65 million opening versus 11.4 million, and even if Ambulance is the better film for the IMAX experience, Sonic 2 not being necessarily made for IMAX, I'm pretty sure that one could still argue, well, the numbers themselves don't lie, and the numbers themselves seem to indicate that there's a lot more people that are going to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2, and so therefore you would have made a lot more money, since IMAX tickets, cost a lot more, having Sonic in the film in the actual theater versus Ambulance. But again, those are how contracts work, and so I'm sure that is probably having something to do with this decision. Notice how Morbius, in its second weekend of release, is expected to come in at number 3 with $11.3 million, and so you could see a battle between Ambulance in its first week and Morbius in its second week. And also look at the theater discrepancy there as well. But is expected to have a 71% drop, so a pretty steep drop off. This is what I had expected, because I don't think the word of mouth for this movie is very good. That means that the domestic total will get to around $57.6 million. And I think that means the prospects of this film reaching $100 million are not very strong. This film would essentially have to double the amount of money that it's made in the first 2 weeks of its release in order to get to that point, and that would mean it would have to have pretty strong legs. And so we'll, of course, look at the drop-off in the weeks to come and whether or not it's able to kind of hold on to that, whether it continues to see massive drop-offs or whether it levels out and ends up having stronger holds. I just don't see it happening, especially with this competition coming in this weekend. But also we have other films, not necessarily that this film specifically is going to be much competition, but we do have films like Father Stew set to come out. We also have films like Secrets of Dumbledore, Expected to come out around April 15th as well. And even though I think that film's going to be a giant bust, there's no denial that that is going to be one of the top films at the box office. So there are a lot of films competing, and I just think Morbius is just going to fall into the shadows. And to be honest, I think that it probably should. Coming in at number 4 projected for this weekend is The Lost City with 9.1 million. So even though 38%, a strong hold, still not really enough for it to be on the road to making money. Whereas The Batman, coming at number 5, is expected to make $6.6 million, continuing to make profits. But obviously, it is one where, again, not doing nearly as well as many had expected it to, including myself. The other new film set to be coming out this week, and it's more of a wider release of the film because it's been out now for a few weeks, is the A24 film Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, which is expected to have a wider opening at $6 million. And even its wide opening is still only at over 1,000 screens, so still really not a whole lot there for this movie. However, this film is one where it doesn't need to make a whole lot worldwide to break even, as its projected production budget was around $25 million. So the film needs to make, around $75 million or so in order for it to be able to break even. So we'll have to wait, of course, and see if that's going to be the case. This is interesting to me because it is a film that is a sci-fi black comedy, and it deals with the multiverse. And the fact that it is a non-comic book film, non-superhero film that deals with the multiverse has me interested. And so it is definitely something that I actually am interested in seeing. And so hopefully there are some good showtimes near me and I'm able to check this out over the next couple of weeks. The film Ambulance is another film where it actually looks pretty good based on the trailer also. I am a big fan, of course, of Jake Gyllenhaal. And so having Jake Gyllenhaal in the film, I think, is definitely a big selling point for me. Michael Bay, not so much. I'm just not that much of a Michael Bay fan. I know there are some Michael Bay fans, and some think that he is, kind of returned to form as of recently. I don't know. Maybe this is his return to form. What I can say is that, I pretty much like most things that Jake Gyllenhaal happens to be in. This film, also probably the least expensive Michael Bay film he's ever made, or one of them at the very least, at $40 million. So a lower budget film here, meaning the film needs to make around $90 million in order for it to be able to break even. And then we have Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is expected to, again, come out pretty strong this weekend. And again, the voice of, let's see here, Sonic is by Jason Schwartz. Again, I just don't find him to be particularly, Ben Schwartz. I just don't find him to be particularly funny. Just not really my cup of tea. And it looks like we also have here the voice of Tails being voiced by Colleen O'Shaughnessy. I have never heard of her before. And let's see, Knuckles is being voiced by, is that Idris Elba? Oh my goodness. Okay, yeah. So Idris Elba's in this film and is doing the voice of Tails. Interesting. So I know that there are a lot of people though that are excited for this film, especially because Jeff Fowler is still directing it, and so I think a lot of people definitely still feel a connection to him for standing up to fans for the first film, getting that design right. And I think a lot of people are expecting some fan service in this film for anyone who is a fan of the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise. And again, just not really my cup of tea. I think this film will definitely do well with younger audiences, definitely will do well with the family demographics. We've seen the strength of Sing 2, for instance, has been doing really well, and I think it's because it's one of the few family films that people feel like they can bring their kids to. This, I think, is going to be able to take its place pretty well and pretty easily, and so I would not be surprised if this film does as well as they are projecting, and if not better. This film, $90 million budget, means that it needs to make closer to around $200 million or so, maybe a little bit over $200 million for it to break even, and it's already made $29.8 million in foreign markets, as it did get a early release in certain marketplaces. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 getting a domestic wide release here this weekend, and yeah, this is going to be interesting to say the very least, because Sonic the Hedgehog 2 does still need to make, again, about, the first film made around $300 million. And so if this film is able to match that and exceed it, then it will be not only breaking even, but also making some profits. Also, kudos to them for not ballooning their budget all that much. I don't remember the first film having that big of a budget. If you go back, let's see, if they have a link to the original Sonic the Hedgehog film, that would be making this a lot easier. But since they don't, we're going to go ahead and do it live, because that's just what we do here. All right. And I, of course, clicked the wrong one. Oh, Wikipedia. So anyway, Sonic the Hedgehog, the original film, cost between $85 and $90 million. So yeah, they actually didn't raise the price at all, really. And in fact, if you adjust for inflation, you could argue that they're actually spending less on this film in comparison to the previous film. And so as long as they're able to provide, I would say, similar CGI, not that the CGI effects are going to be that impressive, it's going to be interesting to see how they're able to pull that off, because they have more CGI characters featured in this film. And so if they're spending the same amount of money, I imagine that means the quality is going to dip just maybe a little bit there. Though I will say that I think people seeing this film don't really care as much about the CGI effects or the CGI quality. I'm just going to be honest there, and just want to see Sonic doing Sonic things, and having characters like Knuckles and like Tails in the film. I think we'll have a lot of Sonic fans just typically happy. What are y'all's thoughts about this? Are you going to see Ambulance in IMAX this Thursday, or rather today? Are you going to go see Ambulance in IMAX, or are you going to go see Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in non-IMAX? As I mentioned in a previous video, I got my tickets to go see this in the Big D format, which is basically a poor man's IMAX, or a rip-off IMAX, you could say. But the Big D format, I think this also will be available in Dolby Vision as well. So you can see this in higher premium formatted screens, but don't expect to find this in any IMAX screens. As even I was talking with John Flickinger last night, we were recording our podcast. That should be out sometime today. Again, sorry, that's the late podcast from March, but that will be out today for my Keeper the Bifrost level people and above. Or are you going to plan to see Ambulance in IMAX? Again, part of me is like, hey, at least there's actually several films that I want to see. So Sonic the Hedgehog 2 I'm going to see tonight, and I'll have a review out. I'll try and film that and get that uploaded sometime this evening. I do actually want to see Ambulance this weekend if I can. I would love to be able to see it in IMAX on the big screen, because it does look like it's going to be a pretty awesome film. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once, because this is now going to be a wider release. I don't know, the concept definitely comes across as interesting, and it's something that I think I would really like to see. So it's exciting that there are movies that are coming out that are actually seemingly worth seeing, or at least interesting. And so we'll go ahead and check those out. And of course, we'll have the box office breakdown this coming Sunday, and I'll try and keep y'all updated on the box office if there are any major updates that happen between now and then. But what are y'all's thoughts about the box office? Do you think Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is going to exceed expectations? Again, the range for this film is between $60 and $75 million, where Ambulance is 9.5 to 14. Everywhere All at Once, with its semi-wide opening, because again, it's already been released on a lower scale, is expected to be around $5 to $7.5 million. So what are y'all's thoughts? Let me know in the comment section down below. If you like this video, smash that like button, light that fire button over on Odyssey. You're all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless. And now for a huge shout out to all of my April Patreon, Subscribestar, and Locals members. Starting off with Patreon with Animation Commentator, Brandon, let's go Brandon, Brian P., Christopher Bowman, Father Christopher Miller, Hail to you Father, Father Damian Cook, Garrett Searles, Harold Francis, Hymir Ari Hymeson, Inflamed Wood, Jacob from Holland, Jeff Toon, Joe Horn, Jonathan Carney, Gomer Kyle 79, Laura, the Modern Major General Story, Mike Jackson, Mad Mitch Dunaway, Mondo Spieler, Mr. Peabody, On to June, Orange Hat Reviews, Priscilla Hall, Rosella Allen, Stan Andrian, Miss Martin Muses, Theodore Bendon, Tina Bojan, and Tina B., the Empress of the Universe. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Patreon. And also to my Subscribestar peeps, Matt317, Storm Tracker, The R, Fast Reaction, Nosferatu Gatsu, Stand 4, John B., Mr. Roy, Glinzer, J. Alice McCarthy Jr., Dean Heiss, J-Rod the Beer Guru, and ZK-Man. And also a huge shout out to my Locals members, starting off with Kara Tharp, K Tharp 56. Also, UAB, Mad Dog, Mike Jackson, Robert Barnes, and also a huge support as well to Brett D90. Thank you very much for supporting me over on Locals. Thank you again to everyone for supporting the channel. Please, if you want your name shouted out at the end of every live stream and video, go ahead and check out the top link at the video description. It is my Willow link, as I like to describe it, and it brings you to a link tree where you get access to all of these different locations, as well as all of the various social media platforms that you can follow me on. If you join at the Citizen of Asgard level, you get your name shouted out at the end of every single live stream and video. Army of Asgard level gets you that, plus you get access to a giveaways channel that I have on Discord. If you ever don't have access to that giveaways channel, please contact me. I do send out the link to the Discord and with the instructions on it at the beginning of every single month. But if you don't have access to that giveaways channel where I'm giving away 4Ks and Blu-rays and all that kind of stuff, as much as I possibly can give away is available there. Please just reach out to me and I will gladly walk you through the process to make sure you get access to that giveaways channel. And again, that is, Army of Asgard level, whether you be on Patreon, Subscribe Star, or on Locals. Also, if you are the keeper of the Bifrost level, you get access to all of that. Plus, you get access to a podcast that I do with John the Flick Pick Flickinger. We try and do it once or twice a month. I think we're going to try and do it twice this month to make up for some miscommunication that we had last month. So be on the lookout for that, and look out for those podcast Q&A posts that are always available on the Patreon main page, the Subscribe Star main page, on the YouTube side of things as well. The YouTube community tab, you'll always find the podcast Q&A there, and also on the Locals page as well. And if you join at the Chosen of Valhalla level, the highest of the levels, you get access to all of that. Plus, if it's your first month, you get a free t-shirt, any t-shirt you want from my Teespring, my TeePublic, whichever one you want to get it from. You just let me know the size, location I'm sending it to, color, that kind of stuff. You get it sent to you. Plus, you get to be featured once a month on the Chosen of Valhalla live stream, where we all come together and just talk about movies and really anything the Chosen want to talk about, and it is a lot of fun. Anyway, thank you all very much for your love and for your support. You guys are all amazing and beautiful people. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day. And as always, God bless.